I'm trying to lay back for a second so you can see my t-shirt, because I'm literally only wearing it so I can make this video. But yeah. In no way am I advocating for or against, you know what I'm saying? I'm far from a nigga who's gonna tell you how to live your life. You know what I'm saying? I'll give you a reading, I'll give you advice, I'll give you some suggestions and shit, but the last thing I'm gonna do is tell you how to live your life. So you gotta do what the fuck you gonna do. You know what I'm saying? But you do that responsibly. So I'm not advocating for or against. You do what your spirit leads you towards. I'm just telling you what my experiences was and how this changed my mindset and helped me on my spiritual journey personally. You know what I'm saying? So, hold up. So my first official experience was doing a tab, going into the forest and talking to the trees, you know, but I don't really remember that one as much. You know what I'm saying? It almost seems like it wasn't real. I just remember that was the first time. It was you know, after that, I feel like I started having the first so-called awakening. I started becoming more aware and shit like that of how the world works, started learning about synchronicity. So my video, what the beginning of my spiritual journey was it was after doing that tab. So the first thing on my list is this nigga right here. You know what I'm saying? One time, I don't remember if it was tab, shrooms, whatever. I just remember he was chilling. He was just chilling in the room, and I felt like he was talking to me. You know what I'm saying? And I just didn't know what he was saying, and he just kept I just kept staring at him, and I'm like, yo, what are you trying to say? And it would start to come forward a little by little, and I don't remember exactly it was an equation that he was helping me solve, or I was trying to solve based on what he was saying, right? And the equation was on the tip of my tongue for 2 hours, or what felt like 2 hours, which was probably only 5 minutes, because time really isn't real when you're on that stuff. So I'm talking to the nigga, or I'm trying to talk, and basically when I finally got that sigh of relief of figuring out, I was just yo, everything is just about love. Everything is love. We're just here to love. Yo, we're just here to love. And I'm just yo, this shit is all about love and peace and finding inner peace and love. And I just kept saying that over and over. I'm yo, it's so simple. It's we just here to love. And then I was looking at him, and then I was looking good. And then I was yo, this is a nigga. And he was yeah, I'm a nigga. And I was yo, this gotta be a nigga, because I realized that this isn't a hat. See, this whole time I was seeing this and thinking this was a hat. But see, in Jamaica, what we would call these is China bumps. You know what I'm saying? So we would call these China bumps, which is funny, which is interesting and funny, because Chinese Buddha, China bumps. And I'm sure the average Jamaican don't know shit about Buddha, but the memory and the DNA is all that matters. You know what I'm saying? Chinese bump or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But I'm looking at it yo, only a nigga could have this kind of hair. So it don't matter what they make his face look like right now. Only a nigga could have hair like this. This is a fact. And he told me that you need to start wearing braids. And I already had braids, but he was yo, you got to start wearing braids and twists. And he was this is why they make you cut off your hair. This is what the fucking statue was saying. It wasn't literally talking, but the symbols of the statue was speaking to me. I don't know how to describe it. I'm just trying to put it in the best way for you. The nigga mouth wasn't moving, but I was looking at his hair, and I'm yo, this is a nigga. And then I was looking at the way the statue is with these marks and shit, and it almost reminded me a map. And it was almost reminded me like a map. And I was like, yo, we're like a part of the earth. And I grew up with 5% of cousins and shit. So I've been hearing the black man's God and the black woman's the earth like my whole life. So it's like I'm looking at this and I'm like, yo, the black woman really is the earth. Yo, them niggas was some bullshit, son. Yo, like that's kind of that's kind of how I was feeling. I'm like, yo, I'm really part of the earth. I'm a copy of the earth. Like I would just draw all of those parallels from looking at the nigga's skin. But then it really started to spark my interest on how many other people, places, or things could be things. How many other people could be niggas. Because he told me he was a nigga without telling me by having this hairstyle. You know what I'm saying? Because when I say only a nigga could have this hairstyle, I mean you have to have coily hair. You can't put this hairstyle in a modern day Chinese person's hair. They gotta have kinky hair like ours. So this is what let me know that he was a nigga. You know what I'm saying? And he told me he was a nigga. And that was one of the crazy experiences I ever had, but it taught me that everything is just about love. It was so beautiful. It was so peaceful. It was blissful. It took me a long time to get to that point. You know what I'm saying? But okay, so the next thing on my list is feeling music. And this kind of changed the way I listen to music. Now, I'm not going to say that I don't listen to I don't really listen to drill. Not because we would call these China bumps, which is funny, which is interesting and funny because Chinese, Buddha, China bumps. And I'm sure the average Jamaican don't know shit about Buddha, but the memory and the DNA is all that matters. You know what I'm saying? Chinese bump or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I'm looking at it like, yo, only a nigga could have this kind of hair. So it don't matter what they make his face look like right now. Only a nigga could have hair like this. This is a fact. And he told me that you need to start wearing braids. And I already have braids, but he was like, yo, you got to start wearing braids and twists. And he was like, this is why they make you cut off your hair. This is what the fucking statue was saying. It wasn't literally talking, but the symbols of the statue was like speaking to me. Like, I don't know how to describe it. I'm just trying to put it in the best way for you. Like, the nigga mouth wasn't moving, but I was looking at his hair and I'm like, yo, this is a nigga. And then I was looking at the way the statue is with these marks and shit. And it almost reminded me like a map. And it was like, excuse me. It almost reminded me like a map. And I was like, yo, we're like a part of the earth. And I grew up with 5% of cousins and shit. So I've been hearing the black man's God and the black woman's the earth like my whole life. So it's like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, yo, the black woman really is the earth. Yo, them niggas was some bullshit, son. Yo, like that's kind of how I was feeling. I'm like, yo, I'm really part of the earth. I'm a copy of the earth. Like I would just draw all of those parallels from looking at the nigga's skin. But then it really started to spark my interest on how many other people, places, or things could be things. How many other people could be niggas. Because he told me he was a nigga without telling me by having this hairstyle. You know what I'm saying? Because when I say only a nigga could have this hairstyle, I mean you have to have coily hair. You can't put this hairstyle in a modern day Chinese person's hair. They gotta have kinky hair like ours. So this is what let me know that he was a nigga. You know what I'm saying? And he told me he was a nigga. And that was one of the crazy experiences I ever had, but it taught me that everything is just about love. It was so beautiful. It was so peaceful. It was blissful. It took me a long time to get to that point. You know what I'm saying? But okay, so the next thing on my list is feeling music. And this kind of changed the way I listen to music. Now, I'm not going to say that I don't listen to I don't really listen to drill, not because of I don't really listen to drill, and not because of drill, root chakra. No, I don't listen to drill because I'm just kind of only be listening to 2000s R&B, and that's kind of where I'm at with it. So that's what I mostly listen to, and certain hip hop songs that I like. I have very weird taste in music, so that's why I don't listen to drill. But when I was feeling the music, it just changed my whole perspective. Like I no longer could just be. It was to the point where I don't even pay attention to conspiracies as hard as I used to when it comes to the music industry and stuff. Because when it comes to the music itself, that's still a spiritual experience that they can only manipulate. You know what I'm saying? They can only direct the energy. Like, but at the same time, it's like they still have to go inside the studio and come up with the lyrics, the beat, whatever. But all they can do is manipulate it. Like they can only buy. They'll be like, okay, we're a record label. We're only gonna buy certain beats, or we're only gonna put it out there that if you're a producer, you want to make money, you got to make a beat like this. So that's how they can manipulate it. But they can't replicate what it like the producer tapping into the quantum field and pulling down the information needed to make that beat. You know what I'm saying? They can't. So I just started looking at it different because I've spent so much time in the studio. I've spent so much time around people making songs. So it's kind of hard to describe, but like I was listening to different songs and it's like I was listening to Take Care and I was in Miami. I could tell that when he was writing I could tell that when he was writing the album that he was spending a lot of time in Miami, and then I researched it and I was right. He was spending a lot of time in Miami. He was spending a lot of time at the beach. Like he was staying at I could tell where he was staying, my nigga, just from this shit is crazy. I could tell that he was staying at a beach house and spending a lot of time on the beach because I started playing what's that shit from Take Care? It don't even matter. I can't get this exact song. It might have been Crew Love. I was playing Crew Love, and that doesn't even have a beach vibe. But I could tell, like, when he was writing his shit, he was on the beach. I could hear waves. I could feel, I could feel the heat of Miami, and I wasn't moving. I was still in Connecticut, and it was wintertime. No, it was summertime. But the AC was on. So you get what I'm trying to say? Like, I could feel the heat of Miami. I kept hitting like shuffle now to play song to song. A Kanye song came on, and it's the song No Mistakes. And it's not an official diss, but towards the end where he's like, I'm too rich to fight you, he's like, calm down, you light skin. It's like everyone infers that he's talking about Drake. I was listening to that song and my skin started itching. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Why am I so itchy? Is this the shrooms or whatever? And it was Drake getting under Kanye's skin. And I could feel that from listening to the song, my nigga. Like, that shit, I can't describe it to you, my nigga. I hit next again, and Wale came on. And it's this song called, what's it? What's the name of the song? Hold up. This is important. Love and Loyalty. So, yeah. It was a song called Love and... Is it Love and Loyalty? Yeah, it's this song called Love and Loyalty by Wale, right? I'm listening to that, John. And then next thing you know, like, I just feel this warmth. And I feel like I'm in the presence of, like, a goddess. And even though I can't see her, it's like I could see her, like, on some Daredevil shit, nigga. I don't know how to describe this to you. It's like, well, I guess I am describing it to the best of my ability, but this shit was like some Daredevil shit. You ever seen the show Daredevil? Like I can't see her, but I could feel like I was in the presence of a well moisturized, voluptuous, brown skinned woman. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's just so beautiful. And I could feel that he was channeling the energy of thinking about her into the song, like, and then from there I started listening to Mary J. Blige. And what's that shit from the 90s? It's like, it might have been Real Love. Yeah, I'm searching for a real... Yeah, it's that song. And I closed my eyes and I was in the Egyptian temple, like the Remember the Time video, and they were wearing the traditional garms, but they were dancing. Like, they were dancing like the 90s moves, but they were wearing the traditional garms, like from those times. And then again, like those, like they, like it went from being in a temple to being like a kaleidoscope of the Egyptian people moving, and then the kaleidoscope kept getting like more like it's just more people and more people and more people, and you can't really see the temple until it's just blurred. And then it started showing me that those was my cells. And I opened up my eyes like, oh shit, that was my cells dancing to the music. And then then I was like, oh, and then I got like this message like, oh, it's the ancestors that help us do all of this. We just a collection of data from all these previous lives and people that come together and help us do all this shit. We thinking when we make a song like Real Love, like Mary J. Blige, that's some new shit. And that beat could have been a beat we was dancing to in the temples back in the day, and we just pulling it down, or we bringing it back into existence from back then. I started having thoughts like that. It just made me look at shit. It made me look like, when I look at an album cover, like, okay, Rihanna has her first album is Music from the Sun. I really listen to some shit like that and be like, wow, she was tapping into the sun when she was making this. Because when I was on shrooms, that's the vibe I was getting. Because sometimes with the conspiracies and Illuminati and all of that, we'll just be thinking that these niggas is 100% making Illuminati music. And I'm not saying that they aren't, but it's like, it's so many different levels and there's so many different dimensions that be going on in that one song, just based on your level of understanding. But so it's like, you could be listening to the song and it's just a regular song, but then you learn some drug dealer vernacular, and then you're like, oh damn, this song sounds like a case. And then you learn some spiritual shit, and they're like, oh damn, I didn't know this song was religious. And it'll be the same song. The song ain't changed, they ain't add new words. It's just you learn more, so now you get more of the references that the rapper was talking about. But all I know is I it just changed my perspective on music. It changed, like, I be looking at the titles, I be looking at the album covers, all of that. Like, I'm way more into it now. Sometimes I try to listen to the song and try to listen to what the artist was listening to when they was writing it. Like, it just changed my perspective. Like, I could probably make a whole video on that just by itself. I ain't gonna lie. Talking to the sun. Okay, so yeah, I had this video on my Instagram for a while. It's archived right now, and a lot of the tweets, a lot of the things I did came right after these experiences. But the sun was rising, because when you do this, it keeps you up. So the sun was rising, and I was hearing him talk while he was coming up. Like, it was like being in one of them like puppet cartoons, or like one of them cartoons where the sun rises and it talks. And it'd be like coming up all slow, and it's like saying hi to everybody. When the sun was rising, it was like disgruntled. Like, it was like not old, but like a middle-aged black man, and it was disgruntled. And it was just complaining. And I was like, what the fuck? It sounded like the Allstate nigga. I ain't even gonna lie. And it was the same night when I was talking to Buddha. So it was one of these things where I started having a relevant. Oh, I'll get there. So the sun is coming up. And then I'm like looking at the sun, and I'm like, is that you talking? And it's like, yeah, that's me. And I'm like, oh shit. And I swear, like, this shit sound crazy, but I swear the sun was close as shit. Like, I could reach out and grab that motherfucker. And it's like, is that you talking? He's like, yeah, that's me. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? It's like, they keep talking about the sun and he the sun. It's like, no, I'm the sun. And it's like, they got this white image of me, talk about he the sun, nigga. He ain't the sun, I'm the sun. Look at me, I'm the one shining. And I'm like, okay, like, what are you talking about? He's like, I'm the sun that they keep mistaken. And he keeps saying that to me. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, oh, you're the one from the book that everyone thinks is this guy coming back, and it's you. And he's like, yeah. But he's like, I'm only a reflection of the sun on the inside of you, like your soul. And I was like, oh. And I didn't really understand that, because I'm just getting intro into the metaphysics and stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay. And at one point, the sun had went out for a second when he was talking, and then he came back. I didn't add that part, but that was important. It would have been better if I added it in the beginning of the story, but I just had to add it in. So that was some crazy shit, talking to the sun. It made me, between talking to Buddha and talking to the sun, it started making me realize that everything was like some nigga shit. You know what I'm saying? That all these entities all the animals, everything is just a nigga, I guess. Like this whole whoever created this place was a nigga. That's that's what that started making me realize. But the next thing on my list is crystals. So someone had got me like I remember I was getting handed a citrine crystal, like it was getting placed in my hand, and I tried to grab it, and that shit like shocked my hand and burned, and I like dropped it for a second, and I was like, oh shit, and I couldn't pick it up. Like I could pick it up, but it was just too intense. And I started thinking like, yo, that shit be going on all the time when I'm touching the crystal, and I just like, cause I'm not on the shrooms, I'm just not that in tune right now. Like what the fuck, like. I couldn't touch my phone. That shit would burn my hand. Like there was so many things I couldn't do, and even now, like my hands are still really super sensitive to that stuff. Like I can't be just grabbing up my phone all the time. You know what I'm saying? Even though I just picked it up, like if I do it for too long, it's like my hands start to burn. Even when I'm doing the control, like touching controlling stuff, if I get high, I can't touch shit. It's like my hands start to burn. It's very weird, but it never stopped after this. My hand don't burn from touching the crystal. Like that don't happen. And I won't even really say it burns. It's just like a weird sensation. But like this that you see right here, I could not grab this. I could not hold this. I couldn't do nothing with it. That shit would like shock. It was very weird. Just let me know that even though this just looks like, you know, whatever, it is very much has energy. It's very much doing what it's saying. Even if niggas think it's some bullshit, even if you just wearing it as an aesthetic, it is very much doing what the fuck it's saying. It ain't playing around. We playing around. That's the problem. The next thing I remember was like the next thing on my list, I remember niggas was rolling up the weed. And at this point of being high, like everything was just alive. Like I was making sea moss and I could look into the pot. It's like you could hear the sea moss talking in the pot like while it's expanding. And you could just see that it's alive. And while it was growing, it was weird. It was like growing and I could like feel it growing just by looking at it. And I could like hear it talking. And I had to like put the cover back on the pot. And I'm like, bro, does everything just be talking and living, and is it just alive? Like, do we just live in like a Disney movie where everything is alive and they just tricked us, like we just forgot or something? Like, is our vibration so slow that we not hearing it? Like, I was confused. It's like, this is the drugs or shit always like this? Because it's only like this in cartoons. So that was wild. But I remember niggas was rolling up and niggas had spilled a little bit of weed, because I was high. So when niggas was rolling up, niggas had spilled the weed, and the weed was like, I was looking at the weed in the bag and that shit was bouncing. Like I don't know if you have some weed that you could go grab, or if you just have some tea in the bag or something and you can look at it. You see how it's not moving? Word is bond. If you could see what I was seeing, the shit was bouncing around in the bag, and it was like, wee. It sounds so crazy, but it was like, wee. And there was stuff that spilled out. It was like crying. It was sad. It was like, no, you're going to forget about me. You're going to throw me away. I just need to be smoked. I got to be smoked. That's what I'm here to do. No. And I was like, yo, the weed is alive. It's talking. It was crazy. And then time no longer being real. I remember one time I was doing shrooms, and this was like the first time I did shrooms. And it's like, at one point, I watched like 2 movies, and while I was watching the 2 movies, I was watching them at the same time. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't missing a beat of either movie, because one of them was Into the Spider-Verse, which is the perfect thing to watch on shrooms. And I wasn't missing a beat. I think I was watching Into the Spider-Verse on the TV and watching The Matrix on my phone and not missing a beat. Like I was like, oh shit, they really do have our brain turned down. And then, I might have watched those 2 movies, which is both like 2 hours long. Had like 2 to 3 rounds of sex. Had like felt like an hour worth of laughter. Peed like 4 times, and I think like 20 minutes went by on the clock. Like, no exaggeration. Like, I completed the movies and like 20 minutes went by on the clock. I don't know. It just started letting me know that time wasn't real. Like, I would listen to a song, like, I don't even, like, it sounds crazy. It sounds crazy, but I feel like I would listen to a 4 minute song and only 2 minutes would go by on the clock. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I'm just telling you what I experienced. um, I told you about the laughing. I went to a place of extreme laughter. Like I went to the realm of laughter. Like I went to where comedians go to come up with jokes. Like, and I just couldn't stop laughing. I couldn't stop crying, and then I like coughed up a big thing of mucus. It was so healing. It was great. It was a great feeling. Honestly, I love it. I love laughing. Um, it was so weird. Like you'd be in the middle of laughing and tripping and like stuff, and then it would be like something from third grade came back. It's like, oh, you're laughing, you're tripping. It's like, remember in third grade when you went to Tennessee and your uncle beat the shit out of you for your cousin being the one to break the vase, but he didn't want to beat his own child, so he thought it'd be better to beat the shit out of you. It's like the shrooms would be saying that, and I'll be like, Where the fuck did that come from, nigga? I was just vibing. And then, oh wait, what happened? I was like, where the fuck did that come from, nigga? I was just vibing. And next thing you know, it's like, you crying. It's like, why did he beat me? And then you like crying and shit, and then it's like you back to laughing. It was very, very, very interesting, I didn't have a desire for food. Like it would be weird. Like I would get these big feasts together, thinking that I'm gonna have the munchies like weed, and when I would even try to eat, it would just be like there's no need for this. Like I would only really need water, and even then it's like I didn't really need it. It's like food was just something that's really not a need. It's like it's like get away. Like I don't need this shit. I tried to eat at the time. I was like a hardcore vegan. So I tried to eat like the vegan ice cream and shit, and it just tasted fake, and that kind of ruined it for me. Never really been able to eat it since. Yeah, it was just weird. It's like I just don't need this. I don't want this. I seen colors and all of that. Seeing shit trip, but I mean, you can just watch an ASAP Rocky video if you want to understand what that is like. I told you about everything being alive, and I got the part here about my cells, but I think the only part I didn't write about was I remember one time at one point I had like laid down by myself, and I was in the bed, and it felt like an entity was in the room with me, like a dark force, and it was holding me down, weighing me down. It was telling me all these negative things, and I had to like go in my mind and like solidify the opposite of what it was saying, and then I felt like it released, and I felt like it was a darkness in the room, and then like the smoke and the fog cleared, and it's like I could get up. Like it was holding me down and wouldn't allow me to get up. I was laying down, and it was like my doubts, fears, and guilts, and it was like a living entity, like it was like a real life manifest holding me down. And at that time I had conquered it, and when I like came back to the next day, like I felt a little lighter spiritually. Like I felt like I had released some shit off my back. Now I wasn't completely healed, because there was a lot of things. Like if I had known, it's like if I like the next time I do it, I'll probably be a lot more healed, because I know what to heal from. You know what I'm saying? And I've done a lot of work to heal without it, but I didn't know certain things were bad and needed to be healed from. I didn't even know that was a thing at the time. So I thought I was healed after that. That's how good I felt. I thought I was about to get rich, and this, like, I thought I had went through all my trials and tribulations in life. Especially because right after that is how I got this apartment and shit. Like, so I thought I was just floating on the cloud. I went through all my trials and tribulations. I done got abused. I done got jumped, robbed, almost killed, whatever hood story you want to tell, whatever neglect story, whatever, dad, stepdad problem, whatever, story you want to tell. I thought I already went through that, and now it's time to come into my abundance. But boy, was I wrong. Definitely had a lot more shit to work out. Wish I could go back and tell myself that, but I'm just painting that picture because it was very interesting. It was like right after I had got rid of it, or found a way to like solidify my mind and get that shit out the room, I really did feel better. And I'm like, damn, is that how these things be like? It just, okay, so one of the things I started thinking is like all these things that I was experiencing, the crystal shock in my hand, the weed talking and bouncing in the bag and all of that. Like, is it always doing that? And we're just out of tune? And I'm like, it is. It is always doing that, and we're just out of tune. Whatever I was seeing is always happening. Buddha is always communicating that message. It's just, are you in tune at the moment? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I haven't done it in a really long time, and I don't recommend, unless you're like really not trying to live in the real world, you go and do it. I mean, do whatever the fuck you do. Let me not say what I recommend. You do you, and do what your spirit leads you to. I just wouldn't recommend you be doing shrooms 24/7. It's not like weed. Why I wouldn't recommend is because if you still plan on living a regular everyday life in some which form of fashion, it might be getting a little hard, because in reality, you really start to have a problem with what's real, what's fake. But yeah, that's just basically my experience. That's the whole point of me, again, wearing this shirt. And let me tell you about intentions and stuff real fast. I've been wanting to make this video. It's been in my notes to make this video for a while. But I said I wasn't going to make it until I could find a shirt that has some shrooms on it. And when I found that shirt, like I'm trying to find one online. I was going to order one from Urban Outfitters. But the shipping, it's like, is it really worth it? Because when you start to pay extra for shipping and shit, it's like I could buy a whole other shirt. And I'm like, you know what? When I run into the shirt, that's when I'm supposed to make the video. And I found this shit in fucking Big Lots. And I fuck with this shirt. This is right on brand. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's just some of my psychedelic experiences. You know what I'm saying? I hope this is just an entertaining video, because I don't really know what you can learn. I mean, I guess you could just learn to open up your mind to seeing the world a little different. Maybe this will inspire you to truly, this is a distant memory from the future where I actually host shroom retreats and stuff, because that's one of my goals and my dreams, and I'm already making that a fruition somewhere, because I want other motherfuckers to experience what I was experiencing. Because what I learned is we don't have to just study about us being in the Yucatan. We don't have to just study about us being in the Iberian Peninsula. We could go to that motherfucker right now. We could do this shit. Look at the pictures. We could even get crazy and dress up in the clothes and play the music. But we don't even have to go that deep. We could just look at the pictures and shit, close our eyes, and be there right now. If we get dressed up and put on the clothes and shit, we gonna really be there. You know what I'm saying? There's mad shit that we could be doing. And I want all motherfuckers to have that experience, as well as the healing. Because the healing part about it is very important too. I don't want to just be abusing it, but it's like putting on a VR headset. I want all motherfuckers to have that experience too. Like, look at me. Look how excited I am talking about this shit. This experience could be for you too. If you interested, you could be one of the first people to come on one of my shroom retreats. I kind of see myself having like a mansion or something where I could have where I could have people where I could host these type of events, but that could be something long term. I might have to just start small, renting out a cabin or something like that. But they're definitely coming. Like I said, I want other people to experience this. I want it to be safe, but I also want to help people heal. But I want it to be fun too. Like, that shit was a lot of fun. That shit, like, the cabin is probably the perfect place to do it, because the woods and shit is all in the back. But that shit is a lot of fun, and it just makes you, like, when you come back down, you just like, man, we really down here bullshitting, man. We wasting time debating, wasting time arguing, wasting time not loving each other. Like, we need to just get to the love and make you understand how the hippies be living for real. Like it'll be a house full of 5 roommates, and they'll all just be sleeping with each other and stuff, because it's like they don't have no ego for real. They just is like, I can't articulate it, but I don't feel like it because I'm getting tired. But it's like it's like they just don't really care. They're not really like that. I don't know how to describe it, but they don't really care. I've had hippie dudes offer me to be with their woman. They're like, yo, you a cool dude, yo. You ever thought about getting with my girl? And I'm like, what? That's how them niggas get down. Like, they just move different. It made me really start to understand their ideologies a little more, even if I can't articulate it at the moment. I'm a little tired, can't lie. But yeah, man, that's just my experiences. Hope you found this video interesting. I hope you one of the people who sign up for one of my retreats in the future. I hope you watching this and now we're living in the and now you're at the retreat. You know, because that's how this shit really made me understand. Like, oh, like we already like, you know how they be like, you already there. Like, yeah, you really are already there, my nigga. You're gonna have to wait until you already at the retreat, or until you already try this for yourself to get a better understanding. But yeah, you know, what was your experiences like? You know, let me know. I want to hear some crazy stories too. You know, you can comment that down below. But until next time, you know, peace. You know, next time I do it, I'll probably do an update. You know, my most recent experience, because I haven't done it in over a year. And when I was having all these experiences, I was doing that shit like every 6 days, or at least like twice a month or something. So it's definitely been a little while, but you know, it's coming soon, and I'm definitely gonna make a video about that. Or fuck, coming soon. It already happened, and I'm already making a video about that. That's how you gotta start talking. That's how you gotta start thinking. But yeah, you know, signing off.